You think you know oatmeal. You've been eating it since you were a kid. Your doctor recommended it. The box has a little heart on it. It says whole grain. It says natural. Maybe it even has a picture of a smiling farmer on a sunlit field. And so, every morning, millions of people pour hot water over a packet, stir it twice, and eat it, believing they are doing something good for their body. Here's what the industry doesn't want you to know. A significant portion of the oatmeal sitting on store shelves right now, oatmeal that carries the words heart healthy and whole grain right there on the front label, has been so heavily engineered, so aggressively processed, that what's inside that packet barely resembles the grain it started as. It has been pre-cooked, flattened, pulverized, and then rebuilt with sugars, flavor compounds, and texture modifiers to make it taste and feel like food again. And you are paying a premium for that process. Not for the grain, for the engineering. Americans spend billions of dollars every year on oatmeal and hot cereal. Billions. And a substantial chunk of that money is going directly to marketing budgets, not ingredient quality. I spent weeks auditing every major oatmeal brand I could find, reading ingredient lists, cross-referencing FDA labeling rules, and running kitchen tests on the products themselves. What I found was not what I expected, and one of the most recognizable oatmeal brands in the world is on the skip list. But I'm also going to show you 3 brands that are actually doing it right, including one that is surprisingly affordable. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never look at a cereal aisle the same way again. Before we name names, you need to understand the mechanics, because the corporations are counting on the fact that you don't. A whole oat grain has 3 distinct structural parts. The bran, that's the outer layer where the fiber lives. The germ, it's the inner core packed with micronutrients. And the endosperm, the starchy center that provides energy. When those 3 parts stay intact and in their natural relationship to each other, digestion slows down. Your blood sugar rises gradually. You feel full for longer. That's the science behind oatmeal's entire health reputation. Now here's where the industry's shortcut enters the room. To get oatmeal to cook in 60 seconds instead of 15 minutes, manufacturers have to intervene aggressively in that grain structure. They pre-cook the oats at high heat. They then flatten or grind them down, sometimes into near powder, and dry them again. What comes out the other side of that process is something with a dramatically different physical structure than what went in. The grain is technically still there, but its architecture, the very thing that made it nutritionally valuable, has been largely dismantled. Read the fine print on the FDA's definition of whole grain, and here's what you'll find. A product can legally carry that label as long as all 3 components of the grain are present in roughly their original proportions. It does not regulate how violently those components were processed before they landed in your bowl. That is the loophole. That is the gap between what the label promises and what the ingredient list delivers. And here's the financial logic that drives every decision these companies make. To produce genuinely minimally processed oats, the kind that retain real grain structure, you need slower milling equipment, lower heat, and longer production cycles. That costs more per unit. But if you pre-cook in massive industrial batches, pulverize the oats to a uniform particle size, and then compensate for the lost flavor and texture with sugar, natural flavors, and gums, you can move product off that line dramatically faster. You're not selling grain anymore. You're selling a system. And the system is cheaper to build than the real thing. That is the business model we are auditing today. Let's start the skip list. Brand number 1, Quaker Instant Oatmeal. This is the one. The one you grew up with. The one with the friendly Quaker man on the front and heart-healthy whole grains printed right below him. Quaker is owned by PepsiCo, a corporation with annual revenues in the tens of billions of dollars. And it is the single most dominant oatmeal brand in the American market. Flip the packet, the ingredient list tells a different story. Quaker Instant Oatmeal cis-tier emerged in its flavored varieties, contains added sugar blends, salt, and something listed simply as natural flavors. That last ingredient is doing enormous work. Here's why. The pre-cooking and high heat drying process that creates instant oats strips away much of the grain's natural nutty aroma. The product that comes out of industrial processing doesn't smell or taste the way oats are supposed to, so it gets rebuilt. Flavor compounds, legally permitted to hide under the umbrella term natural flavors, per FDA regulations, are added back in to simulate what was lost. This is a logistical magic trick. You're paying for oat flavor that was manufactured in a lab after the original oat flavor was cooked out of existence. Some Quaker variants also use gums to artificially reconstruct the thick texture that intact oats produce naturally, and the brand has faced ongoing scrutiny over trace pesticide residues detected in oat testing, raising serious questions about the sourcing quality behind that wholesome-looking label. You are paying a premium for marketing, not for grain. Brand number 2, Great Value Instant Oatmeal. Apples and cinnamon. This is Walmart's house brand, and in terms of price, it wins. But read the fine print, and what you're actually buying becomes very clear, very fast. The apple in apples and cinnamon is doing almost no heavy lifting. What is doing the heavy lifting is corn syrup solids, a processed sugar derived from cornstarch, and modified food starch, which acts as a cheap filler and thickener. The fruit note you taste, that is an engineered flavor system. The apple is largely simulated, not sourced. This is not a food product built around an ingredient. It is a flavor experience built around a concept. The ingredient list tells a different story than the name on the front of the box, every single time. Brand number 3, Kellogg's Special K Oatmeal. Special K has built its entire brand identity around a health positioning that, when you audit the ingredients, is built on fortification, not food quality. The protein claims you see on Special K packaging come primarily from added protein ingredients and fortification, not from the inherent nutritional density of minimally processed grain. Flip the box. You will find maltodextrin, a rapidly digesting carbohydrate derived from starch that has a glycemic index equal to or higher than table sugar, depending on the study you read. You will find added sugars. You will find flavor enhancers. This is closer to a processed cereal hybrid wearing an oatmeal costume than it is to traditional oatmeal. The health halo is a branding strategy. The ingredient list is the Audit. Brand number 4, Nature Valley Oatmeal. Nature Valley, the brand built on mountain imagery, outdoor adventure, and the word natural deployed so aggressively it almost becomes background noise. Let's be precise about what natural means legally in this context. Almost nothing. The FDA has no formal regulatory definition of natural as it applies to processed food products. Companies can use it freely. The ingredient list tells a different story than the hiking trail on the packaging. Inside Nature Valley Oatmeal, you will find multiple sugar sources, flavor additives, and a processed oat base that has been through the same high heat, pre-cooked cycle as every other instant product on this list. The branding strategy is built on outdoor imagery in a single word, natural, that carries no legal enforcement weight whatsoever. You are paying for aesthetics, not agriculture. Brand number 5, Better Oats. The name is the first problem. Better Oats implies a comparison. Better than what? When you audit the ingredient list, that question becomes genuinely uncomfortable. Better Oats frequently contains gargum, xanthan gum, and maltodextrin. The gums are texture modifiers. They are there because the oats, after processing, can no longer produce the thick, cohesive texture that real oats create on their own. So the texture has to be simulated. This is not a small distinction. It means the product's most recognizable physical quality, the thing that makes it feel like oatmeal, is being manufactured by an additive, not by the grain itself. Real oats do not need help holding their shape. That sentence is the entire audit. Brand number 6, McCann's Instant Oatmeal. McCann's deserves a nuanced entry on this list because their steel-cut oats are genuinely excellent. That product is minimally processed, structurally intact, and worth your money. But the instant line, that is a separate conversation entirely. McCann's has leveraged the credibility of their traditional steel-cut reputation, Irish heritage, premium positioning, old-world imagery, and applied that brand equity directly to an instant product that falls into every trap we've already described. Added sugars, flavor packets, and heavy processing. The brand name stays premium. The ingredient list does not. This is a logistical magic trick executed at the brand level. One product earns the trust, another product spends it. Now let's talk about a test you can run in your own kitchen right now. No lab required. Take 2 oatmeals, 1 instant flavored packet and 1 plain rolled or steel cut variety. Prepare both according to their directions and then let them sit undisturbed for 5 minutes. Look at them carefully. Low quality, heavily processed oatmeal will collapse into a smooth, uniform paste with no visible grain structure remaining. It will likely smell sweet, artificially sweet, in a way that doesn't quite smell like grain. High quality oatmeal will still show individual oat pieces. It will have a slightly chewy, irregular texture. It will smell nutty and faintly earthy, because that is what oats actually smell like before the flavor gets cooked out and replaced. Now wait another 5 minutes. Watch the surface. If water starts visibly separating from the oat mixture, that is your evidence. Overprocessing breaks down the natural binding capacity of the oat's internal structure, and additives, gums, starches attempt to compensate. When those additives can't fully hold the product together, you get separation. Real oats, with their structure intact, hold their own moisture naturally. If your oatmeal looks like wallpaper glue in 10 minutes, you are not eating whole grain in any meaningful sense of that phrase. You are eating an engineered paste that was legally permitted to use those words on the box. Now the brands that earned it. Brand 1, Bob's Red Mill. This is what oatmeal is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to taste like. Bob's Red Mill was founded by Bob Moore, who built the company's entire identity around traditional stone milling and radical ingredient transparency, at a time when the food industry was moving aggressively in the opposite direction. Their basic rolled oats contain one ingredient, whole grain rolled oats. That's the list, the whole list. The consumer win here is also a financial one. Bob's Red Mill basic rolled oats are frequently priced in the same range as premium instant brands, sometimes even lower per serving when you buy in bulk. You're not paying a premium for this quality. The premium brands are charging you extra for the engineering that degraded the product. Bob's charges you for the grain. That is the correct transaction. Brand 2, Coach's Oats. This one is lesser known, and that is genuinely worth talking about, because obscurity in this industry sometimes means a brand hasn't had to compromise yet. Coach's Oats uses cracked oat groats, a processing method that sits between rolled oats and steel cut in terms of structural intervention. The groat is cut rather than flattened, which preserves significantly more of the grain's internal texture and slows the digestion curve compared to a standard rolled product. The result is a middle ground between the nutritional integrity of steel-cut oats and the practical cook time of rolled oats. This product was developed with sustained energy as the core design goal, not convenience, not 60-second preparation, not shelf life optimization. That founding intention shows up directly in the ingredient list. Brand 3, 1 Degree Organic Foods. This is where transparency becomes the product itself. 1 Degree Organic Foods was built around a specific, audacious idea that you should be able to trace every ingredient in your food back to the specific farm where it was grown. Not just organic certified, not just non-GMO, farm traceable. Their sprouted oats go through a germination process before milling that research suggests may improve the bioavailability of certain nutrients and reduce compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption. Yes, this product costs more. Let's be direct about that. But here's the critical distinction. You are paying for sourcing integrity, supply chain accountability, and a processing philosophy that prioritizes the grain over the production schedule. That is a fundamentally different financial transaction than paying extra for a brand that spent its budget on a mountain graphic and the word natural. One is paying for quality, the other is paying for the appearance of quality. Read the fine print, know the difference. Here is the bottom line. Oatmeal did not become a problem overnight. It was a slow redesign, optimized quarter by quarter for speed, for shelf life, and for the margins that make processed food so profitable. What began as one of the simplest, most genuinely nutritious foods a person could eat was systematically re-engineered into a delivery vehicle for sugar, synthetic flavor, and texture chemistry, and then handed back to you wearing the same heart-healthy label it always had. The front of the box is a marketing document. The back of the box is the audit. The difference between a brand worth your money and a brand worth skipping is not visible in the imagery, not in the health claims, and not in the price point. It is in the structure of the grain itself, in the length of the ingredient list, and in whether the texture you're eating was produced by the oat or manufactured around it. Your money is a vote, and every morning you cast it. This channel exists because food corporations have teams of lawyers, lobbyists, and label designers working to make sure you never look too closely. We look closely for you. We test the food because you have the right to know the truth. If this investigation changed something for you, if you are going to flip a box over tomorrow morning that you never flipped before, then subscribe. Because next week we are auditing another industry that has gotten very comfortable with your trust.